Hello, 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 welcome back to the tropical garden. This isn't the tropical garden, this is the allotment, but it looks like, dare I say it, spring has sprung. Subject to T's and C's, of course, could still snow. But that means there is lots to be getting on with in the garden. The main tropical garden part of it is still a little bit too early. I could do some prep work and stuff, but at the moment there's more stuff that needs to be done down here. I've been away on holiday for a little while, and before I went away I sowed a bunch of the seeds that I'd shown you in the seed list video. Obviously a lot of those are now germinated, and some of them are in the greenhouse, like the broad beans and sweet peas, but we're starting to get to the point where I'm going to want to start putting some more compost and things out on the raised beds. The first port of call is my old potato bed, which is just off to the side over here. That's going to have potatoes in it again, my main crop potatoes, and I'm looking at building a structure up and over, so potatoes will be here, and I'm going to have a structure come up and then over with another post to hold it, and then the runner beans are going to climb up and over, and they're going to help provide a little bit of shade over the potatoes, because out here it is full sun. And so this is the potato bed that I've just said. So this grew potatoes for the last 2 years, I think, and we don't get too many problems. So as it's been well composted for a few years now, it's starting to become lighter. I mean, as you can see, the colour is still a little bit yellow because of the clay that we have here, but this needs to be cleared up, get all the rubbish off. I'm going to see if I can pull out the old woven fabric, get rid of that, and just give the site a little bit of a tidy up and level it all off before I put the fresh compost on. And here is the potato patch that I cleared all the rubbish off and have put, I think it was probably about 700 litres of my homemade compost, just because I needed to use that pile up to make the space. But that's all done. Then it's just going to be a case of trying to pull this weave fabric out, because things have got all over it and through it, so that's going to be a job and a half. And then the next big one is to finish off the fencing around the outside, get the gravel boards in at the bottom. I'm changing the spacing of the posts from, I think they're something weird like 2.2, they were meant to be about 2.4, but I think they're about 2.2, 2.3. I'm reducing them down to 1.8 because the cant rails that are on the top here are 3.6 when you buy them. So half of 3.6, because I can't fit 3.6 in my van, is 1.8, and you can buy gravel boards at 1.8, so it just makes it easier to maintain it. So that's going to be probably a weekend's job, maybe next weekend, to finish off all of this, because we do still get the odd rabbit in, which leads me on to the rhubarb. Never thought I'd see the day or say that rabbits have been eating the rhubarb leaves. I'm hoping that's given them a really bad stomach ache, and they've learnt that rhubarb is not edible for them, because this one has been demolished. Although this is my later variety, obviously the bigger ones are already coming through. This one over here, you can see that they were eating the leaves rather than the stems, because this is the rabbits. But it's growing pretty quickly now. I'm watering it a bit more regularly, and we're getting some nice warm sunny days. Then at some point, this old raspberry patch, this is autumn raspberries, needs all digging out, getting the brambles out, and I'm going to move the raspberries to another position, I think. Chard in here is all doing well. That's stuff that overwintered, really quite weedy. I need to get in and clear that all. And then I'll be honest, I can never remember or tell between garlic and onions, but this is garlic or onions, or possibly leeks. They might be my old leeks, which means they will flower this year before they get to any size, but we'll see. Then in here we've got what we think were garlics that we left in, we forgot to harvest them, and obviously the single clove produced a bulb, and then that bulb is now sprouted with 12 to 18 cloves in them, and we're getting little patches of huge amounts of them. And I know it's definitely garlic because when you dig down you can see the old cloves down there. So I'm not too sure what to do, because obviously they're growing away, but they're going to be really tightly packed, so I might have to just lift them and replant like individual cloves, and we're going to have a lot of garlic. Then in this bed, this was leeks that we stuck in over winter. I don't think they're going to do anything before they flower this year, so they might just get pulled out. This bed is my leeks that are ready to harvest. So in here, they're not massive because these were a late sowing last year. There's a little bit in them. I've already got my leeks growing in the greenhouse at the moment, and they will be ready to go out in probably in June or July at some point. This bed is just mulched with leaves. This was our onion bed, I think. The rabbits were still getting in. We've had to place extra bricks at the end to stop them. So I think what we're going to do is lift all of the ones that are in here, replant them, and then if we can get some in the garden centre, just buy another load of sets and plant them in. The bed at the end there obviously needs work, and then these are our new strawberries. So the strawberries that were in here previously were about 7 years old, I think, and obviously after about 4 to 5 years old they really kind of lose their productivity. So we had Cambridge favourites, and we had Mara de Bois over in that pile there, Cambridge favourites here. I've decided not to go for Mara de Bois this time, and this time instead I'm doing two like one-off crops. This one is Malwana or Malwinia, and the other one is Honeyo. So two new varieties. I thought I'd give them a try and see what they're like. Obviously new crowns will take a fair bit of a while to really get going, but hopefully they'll produce a few fruits this year, and if we can get some runners, that's what I really want, because I've got 10 plants in each bed, and ideally I want 15 to 20 to fill it out nicely. And then over on this side, the gooseberries are all starting to shoot their leaves out. I did lose one over winter, so I've got quite a large space here for 2 to 3. We're not too sure whether the 2 buckets over there that have got some currants in, I might stick those down here. Okay, so that is this compost pile emptied and over on the potatoes. Obviously it's now refilled and been given a mulch of grass. So this one, what was left, there was a little bit left in this one, has gone into that, so that is all full of usable compost straight away. Then this is what was in here, so this is about a year old compost roughly, and it's in a halfway state between this and that. And this is this one and this one dipped into here. The compost pile at the end over here, I don't need to move it yet, so I'm not going to worry about it too much, but that will go over into that one when I need this space, which will be when I need to empty that one. So the next couple of months these two will fill up, and then once this one's about halfway, I'll empty that into here, and this will have gone into there, and then I'll do that one and probably this one towards the end of the summer into here, and then that will then go over there, and then it will rot down over winter over there, or it will stay here if I don't get time. But I'll give you a quick rundown. Obviously I produce a lot more compost than most of you that watch the YouTube videos because of my work. So I have these 3 bays, which are 2.4 by I think it's 1.5 deep front to back, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 60 to 70 centimeters, so just over 2 to 2.5 foot tall. You see I need to do some repairs over the back there. So fresh garden waste goes into these, and I don't worry about turning it over until all 3 are filled and I need the oldest one turned over. They then get turned over into these 2, and I put 2 of the original ones, so 2 of these go into one of these, and then that will fill it like that. So pretty much about 80-90% of the way there. I could put one more board on and probably another few hundred litres of half rotted compost in. They will then sit there until I need one of these emptied, and then they go into the back over there, and I tend to put 2 of these into one of those because it's very misleading. So that looks full, and it is full at the moment, but by the time that comes to be turned in, that will probably be down to the 2nd board, so it will probably drop by about 1/3 in volume, because the material breaks down and compresses into a smaller amount. So the same with these, you know, these are probably equal in volume to one of these, because these are slightly deeper but not as long. But you know, when this was full, this composted right down, and it's about halfway, and over winter I was using some of these a bit more just to chuck the old bits and pieces on, so it really does rot down quite quickly. But all in, the process from putting it into there and getting fresh compost over there for me is about a year. So these ones here will probably be usable this time next year, and what's here will be my compost for kind of the end of the year. So I've got quite a bit to get through. I've got all of that, which is probably 1.5 cubic meters, and then this will probably be ready by the end of the summer as well, which will probably be another cubic meter in total. So you know, kind of somewhere between 2 and 3 cubic meters a year in homemade compost, which is not bad. So the other thing I produce is my own leaf mould, because you cannot really get leaf mould in large quantities. I mean, even producing it myself, I produce really quite a small amount. So this here is a couple of years old and it's rotted down. So at the beginning of winter, this was filled up to the wire, which is about 3 foot high in total, 3 foot, and that's rotted down to probably 18 inches, 2 foot. Obviously I've got plenty more that I need to chuck in. I'm also using these bags as a way to kill off the grass in between my little hazels, because this is going to be where I'm going to grow my comfrey bocking 14. So I thought the easiest way is, I didn't have space to get rid of all of the leaf mould into there. As you can see, I didn't finish building this last year. So the best thing was just to keep it in the bags and just use it to kill off the grass and the moss and all the weeds that are in between, and then that will give me some fresh open ground which I can put some compost on, and then plant some decent sized comfrey kind of midsummer once my slips have started growing in, because I got them the other day, potted them up, so I'm really just waiting for them to start kind of growing. They're in the greenhouse at the moment, so they shouldn't hopefully take too long, because it's getting very warm in there already. I'm already sweating buckets and it's not even April yet. Yesterday took me about a full day to do everything, and I needed a break every hour because it was so hot. It's not hot air temperature, but the sun is really warm. It's lovely, I'm not going to complain about it, but it does make working a little bit harder. So the next thing will probably be to start emptying out some of these bags into this pile here, and then I will get this pile here finished. I need to build some actual kind of front doors, because these are the old chicken coop panels that, or chicken coop run panels that I built, that I'm just kind of commandeering for the moment. And then at some point I need to get around to finishing off the hedging. As you can see, there's a lot to get rid of still, and there's still plenty to cut, and I haven't even started down the bottom and it's already shooting, so I do not have much time left for that. But this time of year is always busy, isn't it? It's always busy, and it's when my work starts getting busiest. Okay, so we are going to take a quick walk up the garden. It's going to be a bit awkward because if you can see from here, I am carrying my sledgehammer up that I've been using. So everything down here is basically being eaten by the rabbits. This is a bit of a lost cause this end until I sort the rabbits out. Shrubs are doing okay. The New Zealand privet is doing really well. We know quite often, yeah, the tips get frosted, but we haven't had any really cold weather since they started shooting, so fingers crossed they will not get blackened off and have to reshoot, and we'll get some good growth off of those again this year. Did manage to get some hyacinths. The rabbits didn't eat the hyacinths flowers as they were coming out this year, so I've got a few of those. Some little, I think probably tete-a-tete daffodils. The main thing at the moment is the clematis armandii is out in full flower. Came back from holiday to that, which was nice because I was wondering whether it was going to be all done and dusted by the time I got back, but it was still, kind of prime flowering. Got a few now that are starting to go over, but this smells fantastic. The bed on the right here, daffodils are starting to go over, but we did get some hellebores in the end, which again is nice because I was half expecting A, the rabbits to have eaten them all, and B, any that were going to have flowered to have finished by the time I got back. You can see it's really been chewed up by the rabbits in here again. So the next project, which is going to come before any of the other stuff, is going to be putting some kind of a fencing down here. I need to measure it up because I'm wondering about a chestnut rolled fence, which is going to be expensive but will look nice, but I also need to make sure that the rabbits can't still get through between the individual pieces, or just to drive some 50mm stakes in and chuck some chicken wire on it, to make it as cheap and cheerful as possible, but it won't look as nice. But then by the time we get to the summer, you won't hopefully see it. The elders are shooting really nicely. The eucalyptus here is not really doing very well. The main leading stem died off last year, so I'll have this one growth point which I probably need to really train to be the upright, but I am wondering whether to actually just straight up remove it out and put a different plant here. I want another decent sized tree. My idea is to have things like the Indian bean tree kind of at the top as a canopy, the elders as the canopy just below that, and then have things like the peonies and the roscoias in here underneath that as the shrubby layer, and then at the very bottom have that Lismachia, whatever it was called, that I got from Wales last year in my opening video. Obviously the main star of the show at the moment is the daffodils. They are looking absolutely phenomenal again this year. I always forget how lovely they look with the variety in here. This is one of my favourites, almost like a triple with a double kind of combined. I don't know what you'd call this, but it is really nice. And then I don't see many of these in our garden, but we do get these with the peach centres, which are really pretty. And then obviously the good old single yellow with orange centres are real nice too. And then quick look in the greenhouse. Oh, walking straight past it, the Akebia, the cherry blossom tree that was underneath it, that when I started the Akebia up it was dead already, and that was 7 years ago, something like that. The high winds that we had finally snapped the main branch, as you can see here, so that all needs to be taken out, and then I'm basically going to wait for the Akebia to flower because I do love it, and it's not really in the way here at the moment. I haven't got time to fix it. Then once it's flowered, I'll probably lop it down, remove the old trunk and put some kind of a climbing frame of some kind in there. I'm not quite too sure which, because obviously the Akebia is growing up the cherry at the back there as well, so I don't want anything too big because that tree will get bigger. In the greenhouse we have got new potatoes First early new potatoes coming through nicely. Potted them up about 3 weeks ago before we went on holiday. Some of my bits in here are doing okay. This one is the only one that's really struggling. I think it just got a bit dry, but that is the Polyepsis australis. That will be coming out soon because that should be hardy in the UK. So there should be no more cold weather that's going to give it any problems. I'll start hardening it off, and then that way it will get rain when we do get rain again. I'm not sure when, I think next week. The main loss at the moment looks to be this fuchsia microphylla, although I'm hoping from the roots it's fine. This little one you can see here has got some shoots coming on. That is literally a stick in the ground though. That's got very little roots. Then all of the little bits and pieces in here are all growing well. The salvias that we bought from a local garden centre that was closing up shop for the end of the year were 50p or a pound, are all doing fine. Little bits. These are the Bocking 14 comfrey slips all up here, so nothing at the moment, but I only done them at the weekend, so about 4 or 5 days ago. These are probably getting a bit dry and I need to give them some more water, but these are my sweet peas and my broad beans, so these will probably be going out into the garden soon. The broad beans and the sweet peas I need to pinch out and keep on top of watering them, but they're getting dry, so I need to water them after this video. Then what have we got over here? This bed is a bit of a state, but it always is this time of year. Alstroemeria is looking fine, starting to come through, which is good to see. Rabbits are forever present. They'd actually dug a warren run underneath the middle compost pile that I was digging in, so that needs to be all sorted out over the back there. Killia is coming through, which is good, as is the elder. A rabbit did get into here while I was on holiday. I don't know how. I haven't touched this protection and it's still as good as it's been. Maybe here. That wasn't broken when I left, so I'm guessing they've got in through that hole, which is quite annoying. But I have already protected the Mahonia soft cresses in there because they did get those a couple of months ago. But it looks like I've probably lost a heuchera down there because they've covered it with soil for a week or two. Then the pond is just looking a bit of a state, to be fair, at the moment. I need to get in and clear it all out, but there's not really ever the time to do that because that is a big job. The eucalyptus here, I am going to cut this down. I've restaked it 3 times I think now, and every time it just breaks the thing because it's just so heavy on one side. You can see all of the branches are on this right hand side, so all I'm going to do is, we're at the time now to cut it. I'm literally going to cut it right down at the base and let it put up a couple of shoots, and I'll leave 1 or 2 as the main leaders, and then that way it won't root rock and hopefully it will get into the ground a bit more. This bed is all good. The stinky hellebore is in flower, and I'm pretty sure these are probably stinky hellebore seedlings that are all down here. And what else have we got that is worth showing at the moment? I think this blueberry has passed it. I don't think it's going to come back. This main stem is dead and that one's dead, so I think that one's gone. But everything else in here is looking healthy. Need to cut the honeysuckle back at some point. What else have we got? The rabbits are even eating my daylilies, the hemerochilus, but they are growing through again now. Then up on the main patio we've got some more daylilies that I bought from local perennial garden, which were, I think, reduced to, again, it was like 50p or a pound, because they were basically shutting up shop for a year. I've still got some carrots in here which are riddled with carrot fly, but I'm just going to see if I can get them to maybe flower and save some seed, or they might just get binned, to be fair. Everything else in here is okay. The aces are starting to come into leaf. Got quite a bit of dieback on this one, and this one that died back quite heavily last year is just looking a little bit of a weird shape, I'll be honest. You can see how much damage was down here at some point, so this might just get chucked out, I'll be honest. I'm not too sure how long term that's going to be able to survive, so we'll see. The other one is much healthier, and that might get taken out and planted out into a new pot because they haven't been done for a few years. Need to get into this main bed and clear up the old canna and the mucibajou, which I think has actually taken a bit of a battering this year, I think just because of how wet it was. The fuchsia is starting to bud out, so again that needs to be taken down to ground level almost. And the rhododendron lineifolium is just starting to come into flower, so that will be out mid to late April, I would have thought. And a warning for everyone that's got Miscanthus giganteus, it's starting to get to the point that these need cutting back, so it's easiest when they are just starting to shoot. And where was it? These were just starting to shoot in here. So you can see, I mean, that's already put on probably about 1 centimetre's growth since yesterday. So this is an urgent job because I will just go through this with the hedge cutter, cut the whole lot down. So if you are down in the southwest where it's milder, you probably want to get on that straight away. If you're in the Midlands and the southeast, you probably want to do it now. And then if you're in the north, you've probably got another couple of weeks before you have to think about it. But everything in here is still good. And the gunnera over the back here, you've got the persicaria that's sheltered here, is doing well. And the gunnera over the back here is starting to come out nicely as well. So that's the first time I've had the gunnera in a suitable spot with lots of manure and lots of water. So I'm hoping this year we will get a good sized plant out of it. But with that, I am going to go and enjoy the rest of this glorious sunshine, and I will call the video there. See you next time.